Welcome, everyone, to episode 136 of Rangers Ed, presented by Lucarelli Law. If you're in Florida and need a lawyer, call Lucarelli Law. Tell them the boys at Rangers Ed sent you. This is Cousin Ed. I'm here with Coach Ed. No little Ed tonight. What's up, Coach?
What's going on, boys and girls?
Yeah, this is a nice, a well-earned 2-week break for us right now. I think, as fans, we all need a little bit of a break. But I wanted to show you this. I don't know if I sent it in the chat. You probably missed it. But Joe Dara sent me this in the mail.
Yes, I knew he sent it to you.
Yeah, so you see Sam Rosen signed it over there. You see me over on the end. This is before I lost the weight, I guess. But all looking pretty good. Sharp with Sam Rosen at the Hall of Fame. That was pretty cool. So I thought I'd show that to everyone on YouTube. Check that out. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. We're bringing on Mikey 150. You guys know him from the Rangers Ed 150. He's going to come on. He's a Bruins fan, so we'll talk the two Bruins games. We'll talk a little wild card race here. Both the Rangers and Bruins are battling for one of those spots, and we'll talk some Four Nations with him as well. All right, so let's jump right into it, Coach. Let's go right into jersey profiles. Episode 136. So number 36, who else but Mats Zuccarello, played 9 years with the Rangers, 509 games, 352 points. He was part of that 2014 Stanley Cup final team that lost. Obviously, a Stephen McDonald Extra Effort Award winner. Rangers traded him in 2019. It's already 6 years ago they traded him, which is crazy. Traded him to Dallas for a conditional second and a conditional third. Matthew Robertson was one of those picks. The other, Oliver Tarnstrom. Neither of them have really cracked the NHL yet. But Coach Zuki, a fan favorite, signed as an undrafted free agent out of Oslo, Norway. He's got to be one of the best undrafted free agents. I think St. Louis, PJ would know this better if he pops in, but I think St. Louis was an undrafted free agent, so obviously he's probably the best. Panarin technically is an undrafted free agent. He's one of the, so there's got to be like five or six guys better than Zuki, but he's got to be one of the better undrafted free agents, right?
Well, he's more like a Marty St. Louis, where he's not the prototypical player with the size, and he just has the hockey IQ and the little tricks that he gets away with, and he always comes up with the puck. It's just weird how he'll go in the corner with a big guy and come out with the puck. He just got that knack.
Put that graphic back up. Little Ed's fun fact on there. Little Ed's not here, so we got to say
first Norwegian on the in the Stanley Cup final.
Ah, interesting. Wow. I always found that very interesting that Sweden and Finland, two Scandinavian countries, produced a lot of NHL quality talent, and Norway didn't. I found that interesting. I don't know why that is. Maybe hockey's not as big in Norway. I don't know.
That'd be my guess, but another little fun fact: he made my quarter century team, not yours and Ed's, but
yeah, that's true. Gaza says little Ed's too busy. I love it. That's true, guys. That's true. All right, so Zuki, obviously a fan favorite, and just an awesome Ranger. Nothing more to say about him. Wasn't he like Kathy's favorite player at one point? I feel like I remember that.
Yeah, she post game we went out to watch try to get some autographs. He pulled out in the car. I told that story a couple of times. And he rolled down the window, and Kathy shouted out something at him, and his eyes opened up, and he rolled the window back.
PJ, get the graphic off. There's like a blue line on the screen. It's messing with my head. That's a funny story. I feel like he would have been nervous with Kathy yelling at him there like that. That's funny. All right, well, prior to the last episode, Rangers were 25-23-4. They went 2-1-0 in these final three games before the Four Nations. We all predicted 3-0-0. Should have been 3-0-0, but wasn't. Here they are, 27-24-4, 58 points, up to 5th in the Metro, 1 point ahead of the Islanders, 20th in the NHL. some bad news. Adam Edstrom went down with an injury, a lower body injury. He's on injured reserve, and he's pretty much out for the regular season. 2.5 to 3.5 month timetable. Probably some kind of break. Not sure, they didn't announce the injury, but that's a pretty long time to be out. So get well, and if the Rangers make the playoffs, hopefully Edstrom is back sometime around then. Igor Shesterkin also day-to-day with an upper body injury, but he should be fine coming out of the Four Nations tournament. So they started home against Boston, a 3-2 win, getting a little revenge against the Bruins after the Bruins spanked them 6-3 the last game. Then they played Pittsburgh and the 3-2 loss, and I was ready to sell the whole team after that. Me and PJ were pretty down in the dumps. Coach was MIA in the group chat. Little Ed MIA. When they go MIA in the group chat, generally it's because something negative is going on and they don't want to talk to me. But then the Columbus game,
you found your match in PJ, so we just let that ride.
Just let it ride. Exactly. Then
just
Columbus.
Just shut off the notifications. No, we actually had a game at Stony Brook. Big weekend for us. We beat up on Hofstra, which we needed to do. We needed to win these 2 games to hopefully get a bid to nationals. We played a Division II team, Farmingdale, and we were down 4-1 after 1, and we came back and won 6-4.
Wow.
So impressive. Big win. Boys came up big in the last 2 periods. It was a great game, very exciting game to be part of. So proud of them.
Yeah, so Coach, you'll be right on topic here when we start here. Columbus, the Rangers won 4-3. They were down going into the third, 2 goals in the third period to win that game in regulation. Big. All the other teams battling, except Tampa, I guess, battling for the wild card spots, lost in regulation. So the Rangers gained 2 points, and 2 big points there to get up on back into the mix for the wild card. All right, if Mikey 150 is here, let's bring him on. Let's not make him wait backstage too long. Let's just bring him right in. What's up, Mikey?
Gentlemen, how the hell are we?
What's up, Mikey?
So, living in the Great White North, got dumped on overnight, about 1.5 feet of snow. Shoveled out today. Yeah, office closed. Yeah, same old.
Jeez. Well, I learned something new today. Apparently, Newfoundland has its own time zone, which I was unaware of.
Yeah. Newfoundland Standard Time. We're an hour and a half ahead of East Coast time. So you all get your 7 o'clock game starts. We get 8:30. Brutal.
So you're an hour and a half ahead.
Ahead, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, 8:30 game starts are rough, man.
Yeah. Fun fact, you can drive about 10 minutes from my house. You can stand on this little point of land, and when the sun comes up, you're the first person in North America to see the sun. It's called Cape Spear.
That is cool, but how would you know that you're the first person? What if there's like 5 people out there? Are you all just battling to see the sun first?
Nah, there's a specific point. If you stand further east than those people, you'll see it before them.
You'd be in the water then. You have to be on a boat.
Yeah. Oh, that is interesting. Anyway, so Mikey, we're going to talk a little bit about the Rangers' comeback ability, but before we do that, let's just talk about these 2 Bruins games. Big games for both the Rangers and the Bruins. They're sitting where are the Bruins right now? They're 2 points ahead of the Rangers. Rangers have 2 games in hand, so 60 points. Bruins are 1 point behind Detroit for that wild card 2 spot, and the Rangers 55 games, 58 points, 3 points back of Detroit. They played each other twice, a little home and home in 5 days. Each team got a win in regulation. I mean, what are your thoughts generally on, I guess, start like on the Bruins and then on the games? They split them. I guess that's fair for our purposes, but you feel like the Bruins should have won both. You feel like they're, the Rangers, I don't know. I don't even know what to say because the first game was just so bad.
The first game was pretty bad for the Rangers. I mean, I think the Rangers more lost that game than the Bruins won it, if you catch my drift. Like I don't know, man. Like the Rangers are so bad in the defensive zone. It's just unbelievably frustrating to watch. I mean, they're a point like the Bruins are not a good offensive team. They're like a minus 20 something goal differential. They get outshot every single game they play. They hardly get any offensive zone time. And like that game, they looked like the Edmonton Oilers. They controlled the puck below the goal line. The Rangers gave them so much space on the wall. Like they just in the third line on the Bruins also played fantastic. I don't know, for whatever reason that matchup the Rangers really struggled with, but the Rangers D zone coverage is terrible. Just really, really bad.
It's been a problem all year. It's the same when you get Joe Micheletti and Steve Valiquette just repeating the same thing every single game. And those are Valley's pretty honest, but these are guys that work for MSG. I don't want to say they're shills. That's not the right word. It sounds really negative, but they promote the team, to the fans, and they for Micheletti to be saying the Rangers are not playing defense every single game. It's almost like he's just like, to be credible, he's like, I have to say this. I don't know what you want me to do. They're not.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is. If it was just a little bit bad, I feel like he wouldn't do it,
Even when they were winning in the beginning of the season, I kept seeing the game, and I'm like, they're lucky they're winning because Shesterkin was standing on his head.
Yeah.
And it was hard to watch. Everybody's like, oh, they're 10-2 and whatever. I'm like, but they're horrible.
Yeah.
It was just horrible to watch.
Well, they give up a ton of space on their side of the red line in the neutral zone. And then whenever the Bruins had the puck in the neutral zone, whoever was on defense for the Rangers, they would give like that 6 to 10 feet of space inside the blue line. And
they don't step up at the blue line at all.
No, it like entering the zone was a piece of cake every single time.
Mike, when I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and I'm going to analyze a few videos that PJ sent me. When you're the defenseman and you don't see help and you don't see back pressure, you're not going to attack.
Right.
It's human nature.
It's not so much attacking. It's just gap control.
Well,
like
that's
you can't
what I'm saying.
start backing off. Yeah.
Human nature, you're going to keep backing up to see what I got to do. And if you don't see that help.
Yeah, but you're an NHL defenseman. You got to know how to control your space a little better than that. You can't every time that team's coming through the neutral zone, you got to have a little faith that your forwards are going to do something to slow them down. And even so, you shouldn't be relying on your forwards to slow them down. Like you're a defenseman, you got to be moving back. It's just you can't take off too early.
About 2-1-2. You're talking about 2-1-2. You're talking about an odd man rush that they have all the time.
Just zone entry, even 3-on-2, whatever. It's not like a fast break situation. It's the Bruins are coming through the neutral zone with the puck under control. There might be a center in the middle of the ice, whatever. But the point is, every time they do that, the Rangers defensemen are way too far inside the blue line.
Yeah, and that's mostly
that
issue. That issue has been very noticeable with the Fox Lindgren pair. And I think part of that is a lack of foot speed. If those guys do close that gap, they're getting burned. You saw Marchand. He burned Fox a couple times in these two games. So I think, like Coach is saying, there's no one back checking. So a guy like Fox, who isn't the fleetest of foot, isn't feeling comfortable, closing that gap because he one quick little move and bam, he gets burned wide. Now it's a 2-on-1 down low or something. So I think there's a little hesitation because of the lack of team defense. I think coach is honest on it, but you're right. Generally, the Rangers gap control is terrible. They don't step up at the blue line at all. I think in the first game, I don't think Shesterkin had a good game. That's number one. So I think that hurt the Rangers a little. Like every time they got a little bit of an inch back in the game, the Bruins scored quickly. And I put that a little bit on Igor. I don't like to get into the whole litigation over every goal. I hate it, actually. When people are like, let's look at that goal. Who's at fault? It's not Igor's fault. It's this guy's fault. Like it just becomes exhausting because when there's a goal scored by the opponent, usually there's like 2 or 3 guys who are responsible. So it's a goalie, it's 1D, it's a winger, whatever. So I don't want to get into all that, but I just think, in my opinion, in that game, Igor needed to make some kind of a save, keep it 4-2 or something, give the Rangers a chance to try to get a couple of goals, and they just chased the Bruins too much. You're down 3, you're down 2 all game. That's it. I mean, it's all she wrote. Like it was a stomping, in my opinion. But I did think I thought they rebounded well in the other game. Even though they were trailing going into the third, I thought the Rangers carried the play for the most part in that game. So
Yeah, absolutely. But just, I mean, real quick in the first game, first of all, Vinny Trocheck had a great game. The rest of the Rangers played like absolute crap, but that dude is an engine.
JT
Man.
played well too.
He played well. I think he was more right space, right place, right time. Like that second goal of his, that puck just landed on his stick in the slot with no one within 5 feet of him. But he did have a decent game. But yeah, Vinny played great. Every time he was on the ice, he was stirring the pot. I think he played fantastic. I'd be surprised if he didn't wear the C. Was the next player to wear the C for the Rangers playing like that.
No, it's either going to be him or Miller for sure, I think.
Yeah, he's a damn good player. In the second game, though, the Rangers came out with a bang for sure. Bruins were on a tail end of a back-to-back on a travel day, so they were half asleep in the first period. But regardless, I mean, the Rangers won the first 10 faceoffs of that game. Like there's no way they were going to lose that game. They took 16 seconds off in the second period. The Bruins scored 2 goals, but outside of that, I think that game was all Rangers.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was a very low event game for the most part. I think there was like 40 shots total in the game.
Yeah, it was not. It was like watching an Islanders game from like 5 years ago. It was just boring.
Yeah, it was like two teams that are really trying to get points, and playing smart game. But I think the Rangers carried the play better in that game, and they were able to come back. And we'll talk about that in a few, about these comebacks and trailing in games. But when you look I'm
curious why they got Miller playing with Zibanejad and Panarin. Like that's just shades of when the Bruins used to play Pastrnak, Bergeron, and Marchand together, and then like it was like, who the hell is going to score a goal if that line's not on the ice? Like, is that sort of the same thing for the Rangers? Like, it just seems like that's a really hefty front load, and outside
I'll let
Trocheck,
I'll let Coach answer, and then I'll tell you my thoughts. But
I mean, I don't think they're not always playing together. Didn't they change it up a little bit since?
They changed it, since, but at first they were together for 3 or 4 games.
I mean, again, we talked about it last week. They're just trying to get Zibanejad a little more freedom. It's, you need someone who's going to back check harder with Panarin out there because, he's not doing anything coming back. He just glides most of the time. I don't know. It's just something they probably tried. Maybe a work in practice a little bit. I'm sure with all the analytics they have now that this is how they're going about it, partially. Not only the eye test, but they're going by the whole hockey IQ and analytics and all that bullshit.
Well, as a coach, are you taking them and putting them on one line? Like, do you think that's actually going to free up Zibanejad, get him going, or do you think distributing the talent across the first 3 lines would, maybe open up the matchup game a little bit for Mika?
I think it's just taking a little more pressure off of Mika to get him going, and I think he is playing with a little bit more heart in the last few games. So maybe they'll go back to having him as a center, and they'll have the 3 strong centers down the middle. Actually, 4 if you count Carrick. So I think they're going to end up doing that because in playoffs you're going to have to be strong up the middle on every line. You're not going to be able to get away with it. I mean, I love Brodzinski, but he's not going to be a 3rd-line playoff center. So I think they're just trying to work out Zibanejad, getting him back into the game mentally, and they'll probably push it back where something where it was.
Yeah, I don't really mind loading the lines, but I think I think the reason he did it is what Coach said. It was just to get Zibanejad going, and it worked. So I think it's that simple. Zibanejad's going now. He's playing so much better. Part of that is just being freed up for a few games, get his confidence up, right? And he's back at center now. So
now, Mike, I don't know. Do you watch a lot of the Ranger games?
Yeah, I watch a decent bit.
I mean, I'm not going to say JT Miller's I'm not saying JT Miller's the end all be all, but since they got him, the whole team is playing with a lot more emotion. I mean, Zibanejad, I think in that Bruins game, I almost fell out of my seat. Zibanejad threw like 2 hits, like legitimate hits.
Crashed the net.
And legitimate hits, not just
so low.
No, not just. It drives me crazy. I'm not asking you to kill the guy. I talk to my players about this all the time. Some guys just aren't body checkers, but you got to at least get in the lane and do something. You don't have to rub the guy out, but you got to hit him, And Zibanejad was doing it. So I haven't seen that all season. Even last year in the playoffs, he was invisible, but now he's getting involved a little bit. I don't know if that's because of that, but what's his name? Keandre Miller. I'm watching him against Columbus. He's taking the body all over the place. I haven't seen him play like this.
So physical. Yeah, he's been great
I don't know
for a couple weeks.
I have to say, it can't be coincidence. It's got to be a little contagious. If you're watching the Bruins and Marchand's banging this guy and what's his name? Frederick's hitting in the corner. It's just contagious, They're all going to go out. They're going to cheer each other on the bench. Come on, it just happens.
Yeah.
So that's an intangible.
Look, all the press on Miller is he's loud in the locker room. So that checks out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Rangers don't have the center depth right now to leave Zibanejad on the wing. I think that's the problem, right? When you trade Hedl, he's 25. They don't have a center under the age of 31 right now who's NHL caliber, and that, to me, that's something they have to address. But for the rest of this season, if Zibanejad's on the wing, Brodzinski's in on third line, and that's a big hole. And, they don't really have the assets and draft picks right now to go out and pick up a center unless it's a longer term fit. So we'll see. Maybe Drury tries to get a guy who's under contract for a couple of years to fill that spot. But I think that you're going to see Zibanejad stay at center for now. But, Laviolette's been mixing lines up every game, dude. He's just trying to win, It's like the other game against Pittsburgh, they couldn't get anything going against that AHL lineup. And the line was broken up in the first period. They broke up. He broke them up right away, So he might be back at wing next game. Who knows?
I don't know.
One thing.
Go ahead, Mike.
I was say one thing I think Miller does bring to the Rangers that whether or not Laviolette will go down this road or not, on the power play, Zibanejad shoots from the left wing circle. Now, is that not his spot on the power play?
Yes.
Usually.
Yeah. That's also Miller's spot. That's where he's most effective on the power play. But I think for the Rangers, it allows them to be quite a bit more dynamic because they can be much more fluid with the puck in that zone. Like, take the Bruins, for example. Pasternak's really not doing anything unless he's in that left wing circle. But with the Rangers, now that you got Zibanejad's a great passer from what I've seen, as much as I love to hate on him, he is a good passer. They can, and Miller also can play that bumper spot and on the crease. So they have a lot of, wiggle room on that power play in terms of what they can do. Yeah. It's not just get in the zone, get David Pastrnak on the circle and pass it to him and score. It's get in the zone. Miller can be here. Miller can be here. Zibanejad can be at the point. Doesn't matter. Miller can be on the crease. We're dangerous from a whole lot of different places on this power play now. All of a sudden,
in theory, what you're saying is true. But what actually happens is they get the puck in the zone, they whip it around the boards a few times, trying to get a little space, and then when they're pressured, they turn the puck over and it gets cleared. And no one really moves from their spot. When the Rangers move their feet and change spots, they score. Usually they score when that happens. When Miller moves from the left side to the right or goes to the net and Zibanejad alternates and they start shifting and creating a little chaos on the penalty killers, they usually score. I don't know if coach disagrees or not, but
give him time to settle in. He's only been with the Rangers for 4 or 5 games, so.
Well, they're probably 50% when they do that. I bet you the power play is like 50% when they move around.
As soon as JT touches the puck on the power play, he knows where he's going with it. It's like on his stick for less than a second or a second and a half, and bang, it's across the Panarin. Right away, he knows that it's coming to me. I'm going there. That's what I noticed in the last few games.
Well, I know, Coach. People who are on the Rangers because they're not in the playoffs. They traded a first. They traded a young player in Hedl. They traded Mancini, another young player, for a 31-year-old. But in watching Miller in these games, I mean, I know it's a small sample. It's 5 games, but the guy's a legitimate star. I mean, there's no question. Like, he's a star player. It's not the same
guy.
It's not the same guy.
Points in the league.
I know. I mean, I wouldn't say he's a 100-point guy, but he has scored
90.
He's more. Yeah, he's like 90? an 80, 90-point guy. Yeah, exactly.
That's a legitimate NHL player. That's not a freak. It's not a freak that it happened one year.
It's a legitimate NHL star. player, not just player. I mean,
Right.
it's not the same player they traded away. So I think fans have a little bit of the memory of JT Miller when he was traded, and they're like, that's what we're getting, and it's not. It's a completely different player. The way he passes the puck, so underrated. Super excellent passer. So, so physical, winning faceoffs. He's like eighth in the league in faceoffs.
That cannot be understated. The Rangers are lacking physical presence to the nth degree, and what
100%.
he brings in that category is like that cannot be understated.
Did you see what Panarin said about him, Mikey?
He finishes every check.
Did you see what Panarin said about Miller?
Not.
No.
Oh,
He said that they asked him how does he like Miller's forecheck, and he goes, "Yeah, he's I think the strategy is going to be that he's F1 always." He said, "Yeah, of course." And then I said it right before in that game. I noticed it. Panarin just kept skating up with Miller and being like, "I'm just going to dump this in," and he started dumping it. I'm like, "Wow, Panarin's actually dumping the puck in because he knows Miller's going to go in and get the puck."
Yeah, that the value of that cannot be understated. Like
that creates space, man. It creates a lot of space.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Even on the power play, even on special teams, like that stupid zone entry that teams do where they skate up to the red line and drop the puck back and try and fluff it into it drives me off the wall and just dump the damn puck in and go put them through the boards. That's all you got to do.
I'm just waiting. I just want someone to do that one day and a player to like miss the puck and it leads to a goal by the other team so badly. I just want that to happen so badly. It'd almost be as bad as Tony DeAngelo's own goal the other day. Did you see that?
Oh, that was so satisfying.
You didn't see that? Oh, PJ, you gotta PJ, text Coach Ed the clip if you can of Tony DeAngelo scoring on his own goal. It is one of the worst own goals I've ever seen. It wasn't like, oh, it hit his stick and went in, Coach. Like he legitimately shot it in, like a one-timer into his own net. I don't know.
And then he looks at the puck like
sending it around behind the net.
Yeah, he was probably trying to like whip it around the boards, but he shot it right into the corner of the net. Oh. I don't know what he was doing.
Did the Islanders lose because of it?
I think
they lost the game. Yeah, I think they lost that game. Yeah, that was bad. But anyway, all right. Let's talk a little of this wild card because this is insane. I mean, last year the Rangers were, up top in the league. So I don't want to say I wasn't paying attention to the wild card race. I remember it being a little bit crazy with, Washington, the Islanders, and I think Pittsburgh and Detroit.
It's crazy.
I know, but Coach, this is different. I mean, you look at the standings. The people are saying, "Oh, the Rangers are right there." I mean, the Rangers have 58 points. Philadelphia is the second worst record in the Eastern Conference, and they have 55. Right. So, I mean, the Rangers are 3 points out of 8th and 3 points out of the second worst record in the Eastern Conference. So all of those teams, technically, I mean, you could write off Montreal, Pittsburgh, Philly if you want, but they're only 3 points behind the Rangers. It's like
I remember it being like this last year too, watching NHL Network and them going over every scenario. And
yeah,
this is closer. This is closer.
Yeah, closer.
100%. The entire division is within 10 or 11 points of the wild card. That's freaking insane.
What, the Atlantic?
Yeah, the entire Eastern Conference is within 11 points of the wild card.
Except Washington.
I'm talking behind the wild card. Teams in contention for wild card spots. That whole, Buffalo is in last, and they have 49 points. The Wings are in the 12 points out of the wild card.
Oh, I got what you're saying.
Yeah. Every team in the Eastern Conference can make the playoffs. It is really not out of the realm of probability with all the injuries happening. Like Ottawa just lost Josh Norris for months, so they're in a tough spot. Like they're, hanging on by the skin of their teeth. Detroit, you can't tell me a team with, DeBrincat, Raymond, Tarasenko, and Larkin like that. Your core, you're expecting that team to make the playoffs over a squad like the Rangers. I don't know about that. Alex Lyon and Cam Talbot in goal. Like that's a really tentative one. That's another team that's going to make it by the skin of their teeth, if at all. I mean,
well, the thing is, like Valakat said it best, right? And I don't want to push the Rangers too much here, but when you look at all these teams, Ottawa, Detroit, even bringing into Tampa maybe elevated a little bit here. So Ottawa, Detroit, Columbus. Bruins, Islanders, Canadians, Penguins, right? All these teams, they all have like a fatal flaw in their roster that causes them to be like quote unquote middling, right? Or as the kids would say, mid, right? Which I'm a little too old to say that, I guess. Middling teams. The Rangers' flaw, you could say it's their team defense, but it really is an effort issue. So it's not like a roster construction issue. If the Rangers played with consistent effort throughout the year, they wouldn't be in this position. So going forward, if you look at the last 27 games, if Igor picks it up, because he's slumped in the last few games, right? So if Igor picks it up and the Rangers bring a consistent effort, they should make the playoffs over all those teams. They should.
Absolutely. This is not so much a race of all these teams competing for a spot. It's that all these teams suck. That's really what it comes down to. I mean, you're going to tell me anything different? Like everything below the top three in the Atlantic and the Metro, they all suck. Like you can't. Looking at this, the only team, weirdly enough, that I would say I could see probably getting out of a first round series would probably be the Montreal Canadiens. Only for the reason that they're so young. I know. Believe me, I know. If you look at their last like 2 months. They have the dynamic of like the Columbus Blue Jackets team that beat the Lightning way back in I don't even know when, a few years back. They 4-0'd them in the second round with like Josh Anderson and Pierre-Luc Dubois. Those are the only players on that team. But that's the type of energy I get from that Montreal Canadiens team. They were like 15-3 or something in the last few months.
You don't think the Rangers can beat Washington? Oh, PJ jumped in.
No, I gotta have an alert. We got to have an alert on the top of the screen.
Yeah.
I
don't think the Rangers could beat Washington.
Sorry, Mike, I have to push back on one thing you said.
Yeah, hit me.
That Columbus team had Panarin, too, who was...
Panarin, too, right.
They kept him and Duchesne as their rentals.
Yeah,
and Bobrovsky was real hot in net, too. So while I hear you on Montreal, they don't have the goaltending nor the star power over to beat somebody.
See, you don't think that like that? Well, I don't want to say Montreal, but that Dobis kid. Yeah, I think they could do it, man. I think if they get the right matchup, they can steal a first round series.
Nah, I don't.
But that would be the extent of it.
They did it a couple of years ago. They went to the finals.
There's no way Montreal is going to beat Florida or Washington. There's no way.
Man, that is one of the best built young teams in the league.
Yeah,
they're so damn good.
Okay, I'm with you on the prospecting. In like 3 years, they're going to be good. Sure, if all their guys pan out. We talked about this with the Devils and the Rangers years ago, and look where year to year it's different, whatever. I'm not sold on Montreal yet. They're building. They're minus 31, which is second worst in the Eastern Conference. Okay.
I'm assuming the Bruins are probably the second. Third.
No, Pittsburgh is minus 37. Right, so they're minus 31. I'm just not sold on Montreal. I like their young players. So if I were starting a franchise mode in NHL 25, that'd probably be the franchise I'd want to start with because you could build out, right? But I mean, they got a lot to prove still. I don't know.
Let's keep in mind we took a trip to the Hall of Fame about 10 years ago, about 20 years ago now.
Yeah, geez.
And Eddie spent the entire 6-hour ride picking their team. They didn't even get a game in.
Yeah, because the car kept showing.
This is what you're dealing with in NHL 25.
Well, do you understand?
Driving, I'm going. Are you guys going to play? Or are you just going to?
No. So this is the story. I'll tell it quick. So we were playing it wasn't even hockey. It was like MLB The Show or something, and we were going to play an exhibition best of 7 by editing the rosters and we did a draft. So I took Vlad Guerrero. He took this guy, right? Whatever. So we built our lineups out. We went to start the exhibition. Coach Ed pulls into a gas station and turns the car off, and it shuts off the TV. And because we had it all hooked up, so it shuts off the TV and the video game system. We lost our entire rosters. He gets the gas. We do it again. He pulls over again and turns the car off, and there was 2 times that we did it. I didn't play not even a single pitch thrown in the game. We were so mad.
That's why this is a hockey podcast, not a baseball podcast, boys.
And if you know Little Ed, which you do, for any of you out there who know Little Ed, just picture Little Ed at what was he, 13 or 14? Yeah. And me, forget it. We were so pissed. Anyway, I think they're honestly the Rangers and Islanders are the two teams that I think have the best chance of winning a series because of the goaltending. You know, that's the reality. I think Shesterkin and Sorokin, if the Rangers and Islanders make the playoffs, who in the East has better goaltending? Tampa, Florida? I mean,
the way Logan Thompson's been playing this year, Washington.
I'm so over Logan Thompson. I don't want to hear this, Logan Thompson.
You can be as over him as you want to be. He's standing on his head all season.
Everybody's like, oh, Logan Thompson's
lie.
the best. Dude, Logan Thompson, how many games has Logan Thompson played this year? How many games has he started? PJ, tell me, please. How many games has he started in his career? Has he ever been a top prospect? So all of a sudden, Logan Thompson is like this amazing goal. Like, he's having a great season, but I'm not ready to say he's better than Sorokin or Shesterkin or Bobrovsky or any of those guys. He's untested in a playoff series, right? Did he play for Vegas? Wasn't
Listen,
Aiden Hill
Tim
playing?
Thomas peaked when he was 40. Weirder things have happened.
Okay. He might prove me wrong. I'm not ready at this point to say Logan Thompson has the edge over Igor Shesterkin in a 7-game series. I'm sorry. I'm not going to say that going in. I give the edge to New York in that. I give the edge to Sorokin.
Yeah, but
I give it to Vasilevsky.
With the Capitals defense in front of Logan Thompson, I give him the edge. I give him the edge over
with the team
Shesterkin.
defense. That game's going to scare me.
So it's not Logan Thompson, then it's the Capitals defense. So it does it matter who's in that? Oh, okay.
The combination, just like Brodeur was a phenomenal goalie, but because of the teams he played for, he was able to excel like that and read the games, and it was a unit.
So what you're saying is Logan Thompson is a B goalie with an A defense, and Shesterkin's an A goalie. So what you're saying is Logan Thompson is a B goalie with an A defense, and Shesterkin is an A goalie with a C defense. That means the Rangers could be edge and goaltending.
I don't watch Logan Thompson enough to judge him personally, and I don't know his prospect alert facts or whatever. But
PJ, give it to me. How many games did he started this year? Am I being too hard on him?
I mean, he is having a hell of a year. At 31 games played, he's 24-2-5. So I mean, he just wins every game. It's insane.
31 games. How many has Igor started?
Igor has started 1 second. So that was a long look. But just to go back to Logan Thompson real quick, the most he's ever played in the season, 46, was last year. And then 37 before that. So he's pretty unproven. And then just to finish up that, you asked about playoffs for Logan Thompson. He only played 4 playoff games last year and was 2-2 in those.
That's what I mean. Like, I'm not ready to just anoint him as the goaltending advantage.
But he's having a hell of a year. There's no doubt.
Plenty of goalies get shellacked in the playoffs after great seasons. Connor Hellebuck, right? Last year, hell of a year. What did he do in the first round, dude? You know, like, I'm just saying. Like, I'm not going to say Rangers, Washington. I'm giving the edge to Logan Thompson over Igor Shesterkin because he played well in the regular season. I'm just not saying.
I feel like we hit a nerve.
It's just
I don't think I should have brought up Logan Thompson.
No, I just think it's crazy.
Mike,
I think
you haven't learned that you can't pick on Igor with Cousin Ed.
I'm enjoying this. I'm going to pick on Igor more.
You could tell me honestly, Mikey. I know Swayman's had a tough year.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even give Logan Thompson the edge over Swayman in a playoff series. I mean, we're talking about the playoffs here. We're not talking about 24-2-5 in the regular season, beating up on Buffalo and all that. I don't know who he's played. That's not even a starter's workload. 31. I think Igor's played 40 games already or something. You know, so it's like, I don't know. I don't know enough about what he's got going on. What is the starter's
workload these days?
He's 24-2-5.
55, 60 games.
What do you want the guy to do?
No, he's having a great season. I'm not saying that. It's a phenomenal season.
He's been one of the better
goalies in the league. It didn't make Team Canada for some reason, I think, right? He's Canadian. And some didn't make the Four Nations roster.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just think it's crazy in going to a playoff series. I'm not giving him the edge over Bobrovsky. I'm not giving him the edge over Vasi. I'm not giving him the edge over Igor or Sorokin. Yeah, maybe, Jacob Markstrom, Frederick Anderson. These are the same kinds of quality goalies. So fine, he's had a better year. I'll give him the edge there, But I don't know, dude. I think that's a big edge for the Rangers going into that series. Now that doesn't mean he won't continue to play as well as he has in the regular season. He could prove himself and win the cup for all I know. Could happen. But I'm saying going in, when you're saying forwards, edge, Washington, defense, edge, Washington, goaltending, edge, New York, dude, 100%.
Washington.
Yeah. So that's my opinion, though. The goaltending matchups give the Rangers and Islanders the best chance. And honestly, I put Swayman. He's had a horrible year, right, Swayman? But
see, he's not even having a bad year. He's just like Igor. He's just getting hung out to dry. Like the Bruins are just so bad in their defensive zone. They're a lot like the Rangers. They've blown coverages. They don't win puck battles. It's embarrassing at times. And
but he's another one that
could dry quite a bit.
He's another one that could win a 7-game series if it gets hot, So I could see Boston if they get in. What happened to Boston though? I mean, they got Zadorov. They needed that big D. They got him. They needed a center. They got Lindholm. I feel like they improved and somehow regressed. Is there other guys regressing around them, or did those guys not perform yet?
Well, I mean, first of all, Zadorov was. Geez, this is a whole can of worms. So it started with Montgomery.
Give me the clip.
Playing so Montgomery didn't play the lineup correctly. Nikita Zadorov is not a number 2 defenseman in the NHL. He's a 4 at best. He's like a 4 or 5 defenseman. He's there to put someone through the boards. Monty had him playing on the first line with McAvoy. That's 2 guys that don't move the puck exceedingly well. They move the puck well, but they're not very fast. They can't really keep up with the super fast first lines that most teams have. Eventually, this has got to the point where they've realized Lohrei is kind of the guy, and they've put Zadorov back down, so he's kind of fallen in place. Took a while to get that straightened out. And then Elias Lindholm came in. He didn't do anything. I mean, he still really hasn't done anything. He's hardly scored. He's maybe 7 goals this year, 6 goals.
He scored against the Rangers that game.
Yeah, that's mark down the date and time because you won't see very many of those. Like he has been a complete offensive non-factor all season.
Wait a minute, we got a Rangers Ed alert. Rangers Ed alert.
Yeah,
no,
we got
I was gonna pipe in that Lindholm, 2 of his goals against the Rangers, he scored on him earlier this year against Quick when the Rangers won that 2-1 game at the beginning of 2025. So Lindholm, he just has to play the Rangers, and he looks like himself.
Yeah, it'd be great if we could play you guys for 82 games. Jeez.
Yeah, but both teams would be 40-40 if that happened.
Yeah.
So,
but Lindholm would have 40 goals.
Earlier today, you came up with this theory that I wanted you to share with Coach Ed. So I think now's a good time for you to propose it.
Yeah, Coach,
to
I need
Ed.
your opinion on this. I was thinking about it, and after watching those 2 games, the Bruins-Rangers games, I think it would benefit both players and both teams if the Bruins and the Rangers just traded Fox and McAvoy straight up. I think in terms of fitting into the systems, what they would bring to the teams, I think across the board, I think that would be a seamless transition, and I think both players and organization would be better off for it.
Would you do that trade as a Bruins fan?
See, that's a tough one for me because I love the huge number 1, put your head through the boards defenseman. Like I want that on my roster 100% of the time, and that's what Charlie McAvoy is. But I have to say, I think I would do it just because I think the Bruins have enough complementary defensemen that they could supplement Fox's lack of physicality with guys like, Brandon Carlo, who could be that steady stay-at-home guy that brings a physical presence.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked that you would trade a worse player for a better player. Like it's surprising to me that you would do that.
See, you're not seeing the forest through the trees here. Like the Rangers have a complete and utter lack of physical presence in their own zone. That first game, the Bruins-Rangers game, Adam Fox was so bad in the defensive zone. He is softer than baby shit in the defensive corners. It is.
Who runs the Bruins power play? Is McAvoy on the power play yet?
God, don't even get me started.
Just for years we've been. So it's no. So it's not McAvoy on the point.
Yeah, he plays point on the power play. He's on the first unit. Lohrai's on the second unit. Yeah, but McAvoy can run a power play. The problem is he thinks he has to shoot too much. But regardless, what McAvoy would bring to the Rangers in the defensive end. Like McAvoy plays the hardest minutes against the best lines, and he's a freight train on the ice. Like he's genuinely hard to play against. He is from the school of Zdeno Chara, and he's an incredible defenseman.
Well, that would be a blockbuster that equals pretty much the 76 trade with Brad Park, Esposito, Hodge, Middleton, and that whole thing.
Coach, would you do
The
that?
thing is, like, McAvoy lacks the offense.
I
That's
understand your
obvious.
point. I understand your point. And what I wanted to say was, I don't know if you heard when I talked about when I went to the Islanders Bruins game and I really watched. I was kind of down low and I watched McAvoy a lot, and I came around on him a lot. They'll tell you I said it on the podcast. He doesn't, in the words of that the Dallas Stars coach, I always get him confused. Who's Neil DeBoer? Is that who it is?
Pete DeBoer.
Pete DeBoer, yeah.
He talked about Robertson. He said he doesn't cheat. And McAvoy's out there. He doesn't overextend his shifts. He makes the right passes. He doesn't make passes like Fox. He's not crafty like that at all.
No.
But he makes the right passes out of the zone. He gets off the ice when he's got to get off the ice. He's not overextending himself. He's putting in minutes the right way. Would I trade him for Fox? That's a tough one, Mike. I understand what you're saying. I love the physicality for sure. I feel
do the Rangers need a 60-point defenseman when they have guys like Panarin, now Miller?
Hold on,
Trocheck,
60-point defenseman? You mean
70? Sorry, not 60. Yeah. Like he's a 9. Do they really need that more than they need someone that can bring that level of defensive structure and responsibility in their zone?
I'd have to get more than McAvoy for Fox.
Yeah, for sure, man. I hear what you're saying, but dude,
if I did
it's so much easier.
It could work. It would be a blockbuster, but you have to throw in something because Fox
you have Trent Frederick
obviously
too.
A Norris Trophy winner. And I agree, Mike. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I've been watching him. He goes into the corner. He hits the guy and just bounces off of him.
Yeah,
it's embarrassing.
He makes this
it's
weak
embarrassing
attempt at hitting the guy, and very rarely. If he doesn't come out with it, like we talked about Zuccarello, like just stealing the puck from the guy, he's not coming out with it. If there's a guy with any kind of ability.
Yeah.
It's not a good.
The Rangers can't make that trade, Mike. I know what you're saying, but
they would never happen in a million years.
If I'm going to honestly answer it and not just troll you, they can't make the trade because finding defensive structure in defensemen is a lot cheaper than finding defensemen who could score 70, 80, 90 points, run a power play, and do what Fox does. So you can find the defenseman.
Why do you need a defenseman to score 70, 80, 90 points? When
you
have all
every
that team Rangers have up front.
What does that question mean? No, everybody needs that. You want to get rid of Cale Makar because why do you need a defenseman that scores 25 goals when you got McKinnon? Yeah. That's like saying that.
But no. You need more context than that. Like you don't need that if you have enough offensive firepower to compensate.
Every team that wins the Stanley Cup has a number one defenseman who's offensively gifted. Almost every single one. I mean, I can't think of one. I don't know. I can't think of one. There's a bona fide number one D who's got 50, 60 points. I mean, is McAvoy even doing that? What does he have this year? What does he have, like 20 points or something?
His point totals are a reflection of how bad the Bruins offense is. Like, dude, I cannot stress how bad the Bruins offense is.
But that means he's not generating offense either. I mean, even Fox is having a down year. Fox is having a down year, and he's got 40 assists. That's a bad year. This is a bad season for
But
Fox.
I don't think you understand when David Pastrnak isn't on the ice, the Bruins are basically playing with the butt ends of their sticks. That's how bad they are. So, you really cannot judge McAvoy's point totals based on the Bruins.
Rangers that alert.
Yeah, PJ's waiting to say something. What do we got?
I was going to say, what if we did a big blockbuster? It would give the Bruins flexibility for a couple of years. You do Fox and Panarin for McAvoy and Pasta.
There you go.
Now that I would do. That I would do.
Because Panarin only has one more year after the year, and then it opens up. Because I know Boston really needs the flexibility later.
Yeah, I would take Pastrnak over Panarin in a heartbeat. I would do that.
Sure,
that trade I would seriously consider.
Pasternak's a top 10 player in the league. Not even
Pasternak's like a top 5 player in the league.
Plus,
5 is a lot, dude.
My theory
He's
was
up there,
that
though.
Fox is better than McAvoy, but Pass is better than Panarin. But Panarin did put up 120 points last year, so he's no slouch.
Dude, if you could pull that trade off, you do it. I'm sorry.
But
McAvoy is really good.
I want playoff type of player, and I don't see Panarin. I said it 2 years ago. I don't think they're going to win a cup with Panarin as their number one guy. So,
Do you think
He's
Fox is going to excel in the playoffs with that lack of physicality that he has?
He hasn't. He's gotten beat up.
And
Well, actually, Fox has done really well in the
go
playoffs,
back to this
except
trade.
last year because he got hurt.
You don't pay players to play in the regular season. You pay players to win playoff games. And that's the difference between Charlie McAvoy and Adam Fox. When it comes down to the playoffs, you're in a game 7 and everyone's beat to shit. Charlie McAvoy is the guy you want on the point. So what if he's not an 80-point player? You're going to win that game 2-1. You know what I mean?
Look,
You're going to get grind him out goals. That's where the value comes. Yeah.
In the
I'm just saying that.
Hold on. You guys are just spitting nonsense right now. In the first playoff run at 23 years
Okay,
old.
there, Logan Thompson's not a bad goalie.
Well,
I didn't say he was
if
a
you're
bad
talking about
goalie.
playoffs, that's what Igor does. He is Mr. Playoff.
Yeah.
Igor is Mr. Playoff. Yeah.
Yeah. He does have to get him there first.
So anyway, Fox in his first playoff run where the Rangers went to Eastern Conference Finals, surprisingly, had 23 points in 20 games, including 5 goals. Okay. The second run, he had 8 assists in a 7-game series against New Jersey, and they lost. So he had 8 points in 7 games. And then last year, he got kneed twice, once late in the regular season and once in the first round by Nick Jensen against Washington. So, yeah, he had a down playoffs. He only had 8 points. So I wouldn't say Fox is not good in the playoffs. I think he's proven that he is good when he's healthy. He's in the playoffs. In fact, I remember, if we go back, and we'll get Joey the historian on this, in the first playoff run, Coach was questioning, I don't know if Fox is going to be good because he's soft. And then when he performed well, Coach was like, I'm shocked. He's really performed well. I guarantee you there's Coach clips from that playoff stretch about how good Fox was in the playoffs. So I wouldn't say he's not a playoff guy. He's soft. He's off this year. He's extra soft this year. I don't know what is going on. He's had a down year.
He got married.
I think, but I'll tell you what, if Drury calls Don Sweeney and says, I'll give you Fox for McAvoy, the Bruins say yes immediately. And there isn't a second of hesitation on the Boston end in that trade. And that's how you know the Rangers shouldn't make the deal. Because the Rangers would be like, throw this guy in, throw that in. The Rangers lose the deal, right?
The assumption there is, we're just trading up. But
you said 1 for 1.
But the assumption, what you're saying is Don Sweeney is saying yes simply because Fox is a better player. What you're overlooking is that the Bruins have 0 offense, like I said, and Adam Fox is with the exception of maybe Cale Carr, he is the quintessential modern defenseman in that he pumps in points at the expense of certain historically, desirable characteristics like physicality and defenseman. So that would be more so what Don Sweeney is after, like desperately need offensive production. And, if you're going to get the opportunity to get an offensive dynamo like Fox, yes, absolutely.
Well, I'll say this. I wouldn't trade Adam Fox, especially in the middle of a down season, but I'm not the GM. And I don't think Adam Fox is untouchable. He's got a no-move clause that kicks in on July 1st, and I think Drury is trying to change this team. And if he feels like he can change the dynamic of the team in any way, I think everyone's up for grabs right now, except maybe Igor and the guys he just signed and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say, as a fan, I wouldn't expect Fox to not be available. I think he's.
Yeah.
I don't think he's shopping him, but I think he'll listen.
Yeah. Well, the whole reason I thought of this is I was just thinking about I was thinking about the wild card race and how these teams are going to get there, and if they get there, how the hell they're going to win a series. And for the Rangers, obviously, I keep saying it over and over, but they have to be better in the defensive half of the ice, and that starts with their ability to impose themselves on other teams, and they just don't have that in the defensive zone. So I just don't think they're going to be able to win a series against some of these Eastern Conference teams that have demonstrated that they can do that quite proficiently, maybe Toronto being the exception.
I would be more inclined, as much as I'm a Lindgren fan, we need a better partner for Fox.
Absolutely. There's numerous, like PK Subban was only a good defenseman because of, Andrei Markov and Alexei Yemelin. Like Chara was a stud because of Dennis Seidenberg. Like every good offensive guy needs that stay-at-home presence, and I don't think Lindgren's that for Fox.
I love the example of PK Subban. I wish Little Ed were here for that.
It's the biggest farce in the world that he won that Norris. He won that Norris because his defensive partners were so good, not because he was good.
Yeah, I mean, look,
PK
welcome
average defenseman.
Welcome, Coach,
100%.
to the.
Say that louder, Coach.
PK was an average defenseman. I watched him live.
Yeah, he was definitely average. He was
Far from a
offensively
Norris
gifted.
Trophy defenseman.
All right,
in my opinion.
Enough. Let's not waste time on PK. The reality
we got
is,
an alert again. What do we got?
Welcome to the Lindgren needs to be upgraded team, Coach. Welcome. It's nice to have you here. We've been waiting for you. The seat's been available for a few episodes, and now you finally joined it.
I was gonna say the water's
well.
warm.
I don't want to get rid of him. I just need to get a different partner for Fox.
Well, you have to get rid of him then. Where's he gonna go?
What do you mean? Where's he gonna go? Second pair, third pair?
You have Keandre.
Waivers,
yeah, for real.
All right, whatever. It is what it is. I wouldn't be upset if they lost him. I'll be honest. I like him as a player. He's my kind of player. But if they're going to improve that position, then I'm good with it.
Oh, look, Cody Ceci and Mikhail Gramlin just got a first-round pick combined. So this we'll see what Lindgren and Riley Smith can garner.
Yeah.
But,
no, I was just going to quickly, say Borgen is at least helped with that lack of physicality on the end. He definitely puts people onto the boards. Granted, he's not huge, but he's
Keandre too.
He added that, and Keandre's helped. I think since Miller came, the other JT, Keandre's making these defensive hits I've never seen. So that helps. But I have one quick question for
needs to be seen. I said he's done well in the last 5 games or so, but he's got I want to see it for the last push. That's what I want to see. Then I'll say he's in. But
yeah. My one quick question for Mikey, I know it's obviously a Rangers podcast, but I'm really curious to hear his perspective on what the Bruins are going to do at the deadline.
Man, the Bruins don't really have a lot of draft capital, so they're kind of up against it, and they're sort of have the opposite problem of the Rangers. The Rangers play all their picks right up in the NHL, Hedl, Lafreniere was up right away. Just all of them come right up. The Bruins just let their draft picks fester in Providence, and they don't really trade them away. Like we drafted Fabian Lysell in 2021, first round, I think 15th pick maybe. He's played 1 game in the NHL. Georgi Merkulov hardly plays in the NHL. Matt Poitras hardly plays in the it's terrible. So we have no draft capital. We have prospects that haven't really been proven in the NHL, so they're not really worth a whole lot. So I really wouldn't envision them doing a whole lot at the deadline. If anything, I think they're going to be sellers. You got to look at guys like Trent Frederick that might move along. Even a guy like Morgan Geekie that's sort of pumping in goals. He'll be a rental. They might be able to get a couple late round picks for him, but I don't think there's going to be anything dynamic happening with them. I don't think they're really going to shoot for it and try and win some playoff series.
Marchand?
I don't think he ever wears anything but a Bruins sweater.
We'll see. I know you hope that. I know a lot of Ranger fans feel that way about Kreider. Some want Kreider gone, though. I think it's about 50-50 right now. We'll see how that turns out. So, all right, we're going to move on, Mikey. You can hang out with us if you want. I want to get your 4 Nations predictions later when we do that. But tell me who's making the final 2 wild cards, assuming Tampa has pushed itself into the top 3 in the Atlantic. Who's got the 2 wild cards in the East? Let's do our 27 games to go or so. So who makes it?
Boy, oh boy, that's a tough one. I'll say the Rangers get in there and the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Rangers and Columbus.
Yep, yeah. I love the Columbus Blue Jackets. I think they got Boone Jenner coming back soon. I think if they can get Monahan back before the closeout of the season, I think they might squeak in.
Wow. I'm rooting for Columbus in a weird way, just because everything that organization has gone through, not just Johnny, but they had what's his name a few years ago too, the goalie. I forgot his name. Passed away as well. So they've just been through a lot as an organization. But I also feel like I want Ottawa to finally make it. I love the
Senators, man.
I really just want Ottawa to make it too. So, if I have to say, I think the Rangers are going to get in. They drive me crazy. They lose to Pittsburgh. I'm ready to sell everyone. I do think they're just too talented to not get in. They just got to want it.
I agree. I completely agree. They're way too much talent to even be a wild card team.
Yeah, and I think it's probably going to be the Rangers and the Bruins, dude.
Can you imagine?
Just Ottawa, Detroit are just going to miss.
And then it'll be Bruins, Leafs first round, Cats, Bolts, Rangers, Devils.
Yeah, exactly. Rangers, Washington, Carolina, New Jersey, man. That's probably what it's going to be. We'll see. I would probably say Rangers, Bruins. I just think the goaltending, if it is big. I always bet on goaltending down the stretch. All right. I don't know what you're up to. If you want to hang around through the rest of the episode before we do Four Nations, or you want to just give us your Four Nations picks now, who's going to win and what? It's up
Giving
to
you the Four Nations picks. First of all, Mrs. 150 said it's going to be a U.S.-Sweden final, so write that one down for when she's right and embarrasses all of us.
All right, U.S.-Sweden.
I'm saying Canada-Finland in the final. I think Finland's just going to surprise everyone. No one even thinks they exist relative to the Canadian roster and the U.S. roster, so I think Finland's just going to grind it out and squeak into the finals.
I don't think so, man. But if you really think that, then throw money on that because they're like plus 1,000 right now or something.
I know.
So hammer that.
No one picks them in any tournaments, and they always do well. Like they just slog it out. Somehow they just win games.
Yeah, but they're down D and stuff. All right. Well, we'll note those picks.
There's only 10 Finnish defensemen in the entire NHL. Arho Vakanainen is one of them. Like, yikes.
Yeah, dude. All right, so you got Canada, Finland, and who wins?
Canada. I just don't think you can beat a team that has Makar, McDavid, McKinnon, Crosby. Like, what are we even talking about?
And then USA, Sweden for Miss 150. Who wins?
US.
She's got US winning. All right, so we'll revisit that later. Thanks for joining us, buddy. As always,
boys, it's been a pleasure.
Swim safe, Mike.
Yeah. All right. That was Mikey 150. Little wild card talk, little Bruins talk, little argument about Logan Thompson. Dude, honestly, I'm really fed up with Logan Thompson, coach. Like,
all right, well,
you're not online, so you don't see the nonsense that's being said about this guy like he's the best goalie that ever existed. It's really frustrating.
The best goalie that ever existed?
I mean, I'm using hyperbole. PJ is also on Twitter. He will tell you the Logan Thompson love is a little dramatic. It's just a little bit. He's having a great year.
Is it as dramatic as your texting?
No, I'm more dramatic in my texting for sure. But speaking of dramatic, let's talk about the Rangers. 7 straight games, coach. They've entered the third period losing. 7 straight games. The last 4 of them, they're 3-1-0 in those games, and they've come back to win in regulation in the 3 games. They scored 2 against Boston in the third to win in regulation, 3 against Vegas to win in regulation, and 2 against Columbus to win in regulation. Pittsburgh, they couldn't get it done. Pittsburgh clamped down. They had like 0 shot attempts in the third. They just all sat back and just, deviled it, right? I would call that. So the Rangers couldn't do it. They couldn't do anything there, but I want the comebacks. Like, is this a sustainable way to get points? I mean, they're winning the games at this time of year. It's all about getting 2 points, right? Whatever it is, what it is. But this can't be sustainable to continuously trail going into the third period every single game.
I mean, they did it for most of last year. A good part of last year.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that they trailed going into the third period for most of last year. They came back a lot. So they were trailing in the games for like 30 or 40 of the games. At some point they were trailing.
I mean, but also you're looking at it like, I don't really consider going into the third period down 2-1 as like trailing. To me, like a big comeback win is you're going into the third period down 5-2, or, that's a tough. They're in the games. It's a matter of a bounce either way. I'm not going to consider it these massive comeback wins. You follow me? It's a hockey game. The score's going to go up and down. Who's leading when is, not irrelevant, but it's just a matter of a bounce here and there, a shift here and there. So I wouldn't put too much onus on it, other than the fact that it is nice to have a lead 3-0 in the second period and finishing it off. How often does that happen in this league, though? You watch highlights and there's constant teams. Colorado losing to Buffalo, Edmonton losing to Utah. These losses that shouldn't be happening. Teams are losing to San Jose, not regularly, but good teams are going into San Jose and they're losing. It happens.
Yeah.
It's a matter of losing that game, like in baseball, having a closer and then moving on to the next game. It's a tough league. I mean, not to quote Joe Micheletti, but it's a tough league. And it's 2-1, losing 2-1 going into the third, to me isn't a big comeback. Isn't anything to worry about. That game could easily be 2-1 Rangers, but it's a matter of, like I said, a save, a lucky save, the butt end of a stick save, crossbar. Look in those 2-1 games. How many times did the Rangers hit the post? So it's kind of an even game. Little things like that. It's a tough. I'm not going to say it's too bad. So.
And just for reference, last year they were 10-18 when trailing after 2. So they did trail going in as much as they won a lot last year.
28 games though, but what about this year? This is 7 in a row. They got to be.
And they, before this last 3 out of 4, they won trailing after 2. They had only won once after trailing after that was in Utah. So the whole first half of the year, they were terrible. They could not win a game when trailing after 2. So they are at least bringing that resiliency back.
Yeah. Well, I guess 28 is a decent amount of games. It's more than a quarter of the games. All right. Well, I just don't think it's sustainable. I don't think it's sustainable.
It probably, it isn't in the long run, but I'm going to say, like PJ just said, the resiliency showing, and it can't be a coincidence. I got to give that to the trade. Getting JT Miller, I have to say that their attitude, you're watching them play, they're more competitive for the most part, other than the Pittsburgh game.
Yeah, dude.
But I kind of watched that Pittsburgh game. I thought I didn't see the third period. I had to leave for my game. But I thought they were playing hard. I didn't see it that big. I saw that Pittsburgh got the lucky breaks.
They totally outplayed them, though. Just effort, speed with the puck, forecheck, just north-south. The Rangers in that game, old habits. This is what kills the Rangers. They don't adjust. They're so predictable with the cross-ice passes. And then when they do adjust, they get predictable with the point shots. So they just don't know how to read coverage and do something that works in that moment. It has to be like, this is the way we're playing. We're shooting from the point only. It's like, that's how it feels, at least. It's, it's like they just get stuck in these cross-ice passes over and over, intercepted, right through the circles. How many times? Did you see Zibanejad last night? He's all alone. Or not last night, the other night. He's all alone and he drop passes it to Kreider and was like,
"Oh my god!"
It's just gets stuck in their head, They got to play this.
Let's bring on the broadcast. Let's bring on the broadcast banter if you can.
Yeah, if it's in there, put it up.
Power play goal.
What happened? Did you hear it? Joe goes, "I'm not going to say it, Sam. I'm not going to say it." It goes on for 30 seconds.
And then Sam goes.
Then he has to stay.
And then, no, because Sam goes, he's a very unselfish player. And then Joe's like, get selfish. Get selfish.
Yeah.
Dude, that was funny.
Paid. It's a good point. You get paid to score goals. Score goals.
Yeah.
Look,
it's been a roller coaster of a season. It's one of those seasons where you're really frustrated, but it's also can be fun to fight for a wild card. Every game is big. Last year was a little waiting for the playoffs. I liked it a lot better just being in first place. Don't get me wrong, but it's an up and down season. Every win I feel so up, and I'm ready to go for it. And every loss, I feel like the team has failed me and I'm never going to see them win the Stanley Cup in my lifetime. So it's just one of those kind of seasons. And,
well, you did see them win the Stanley Cup.
Okay. I was 8 years old.
All right, you're 8.
Okay. I don't count it, as an adult, comprehending team structure and like things like that and trades, paying attention. Like, I mean, you're 8 years old. You're just like, you're a dad. Like, who's good? Like, it's like, what do you know at that age? But anyway, my point is it's an up and down season. And I feel like it's one of those things where, coach, like so many points wasted. I look at the season, I'm like Nashville, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, the Colorado game where they blew it late. They blew another game late recently too, where they lost a point. They were about to go, into overtime. Not just the Avs. It was another game, or the Dallas game I'm thinking of where they blew it and then lost in overtime. That's already like 8 or 9 points. Give the Rangers 8 or 9 points more, and they're firmly in a playoff spot, battling New Jersey for the 3rd spot in the Metro. And those should be gimmies, honestly. But it's that kind of a season, so they got to take care of business now. And I don't know. I really wanted to just bring this up to ask the listeners and you, coach, like, how are you handling the ups and downs? Because honestly, weirdly, we don't really chat about it. Like for me, it's really, I'm having a hard time with it. Like when they lose, I'm sitting there very angry. And when they win, I'm like overly excited, but still angry at the team for all the blown points. I don't know. How are you handling it? You seemed like more laissez-faire. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little older. I mean, I'm sure there are people my age who feel the same way you do, but I have other things, with our team with coaching. I got things I'm worrying about, so it doesn't hit me as hard anymore. I enjoy doing this, and it's frustrating. I'm not going to lie, but the season ends. The season ends. We move on to next year. It's hard, but I don't take it to heart as bad as you do. I mean, I was fortunate enough to see the Giants win a bunch of times, the Rangers win, the Mets win. So I take what I can get, and I'm happy for
it. Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
I'm not good. I mean, I want them to
PJ
win, don't get me wrong. But if they lose in the playoffs, I'm not going to go into a shell and start ranting on Twitter for 2 weeks.
If they lose in the playoffs,
like doing that, that's not me.
No, if they lose in the playoffs, I expect it this year. The problem I'm having is they should be a playoff team. I mean, think back to the rivalry tour. We had all these guys in. We were talking about and girls. We had them in talking about upcoming season. The question was never, are the Rangers going to make the playoffs?
Oh, you're right. Well,
that was never a question. The question was,
right,
I don't care what Zibanejad does. What is he going to do in the playoffs? I don't care what Panarin does. What is he going to do in the playoffs? They might not make the playoffs, coach.
Well, now all of a sudden, we do care what he does during the season.
It's crazy, right? Like
we do need to care what they do during the season.
Yeah, lesson learned.
And let's look at like last year with the Devils. They went through something similar. They made a little bit of a run. They beat the Rangers the year before. And last year, and they made a run into what? Did they make the semifinals the year before?
They lost to Carolina in the second round.
After the Rangers. All right, but they were on the upswing, and then last year they just tanked.
Yep.
That was disappointing for them as far as the way they were going. They didn't make the conference finals, but the league is filled with ups and downs. The teams go, look at Colorado this year. They're struggling. They finally got back to their way, but they were struggling in the beginning of the year.
I think with the Devils, it's different because you have guys there like Heishier and Hughes and Jesper Bratt and Luke Hughes. Who else? All these guys are at 25 and under, and they're all locked into long-term deals. And you're feeling good about their rebuild as a Devils fan, and you're like, all right, tough year. Let's get some meat and potatoes into this group and try again. Whereas the Rangers, I feel like the fan base is like, Heedle's gone, Kakko's gone, Laffy's not performing, Miller stinks. Where's our rebuild? Like, where are all our guys from the rebuild? Okay, so we have 33-year-old Panarin, 32-year-old Zibanejad, 33-year-old Kreider. Miller's 31. Miller's 31. Fox looks slow. Is he ever going to get back up to speed? He's getting older. So it's just like, I just think there's a different vibe to this Ranger team where it's almost like the rebuild failed. We're retooling completely. The Devils were still on the upswing, even with their season last year. But I get your point. It is very similar in that it's a step back, similar to what New Jersey did last year, points wise at least.
And rebuilding wise, the Rangers still have Perot coming in. They have Fortescue. They have Othman. They have a few guys coming up the ranks that are part of the rebuild. And I think it's kind of a better mix than just rebuilding totally. You're still competitive, and you're a player.
The rebuild was really like 2017 to 2021 or 2. Like that was the Rangers rebuild. Like anyone after that is just part of normal team building. Like I don't consider that like Perot part of the rebuild. He was drafted like a year ago. I consider like Hedel, Nils Lundqvist, Miller, Elias Anderson, Kakko, Cooley was acquired for Elias Anderson, and I'll consider him that. Laffy. That's the rebuild. Schneider. Right. So really, what do we got left? We got Schneider, Miller, and Laffy. That's it.
And Cooley.
Well, we ended up getting
That's
Miller.
4 guys. What do you think? Every guy that you get in a rebuild is going to become an NHL player?
No, I
hope that. So they got 4.
I don't think that. I think that the fan base looks at the Rangers having the first and second overall pick and them busting pretty much. I mean, as good as Laffy could be, he's been horrible. We're going to talk about that in Coach's Corner, I'm hoping. Keandre looked like a stud, and he is the most inconsistent D on the team right now. He's playing great right now. I love it, but he was horrible in the first half of this year. I mean, horrible.
Brutal.
Coach, you were ready to dump him for like a 5th round pick,
Yeah,
I mean, terrible, right? So Hedel can't stay healthy, right? Kakko can't get in the lineup. He's getting scratched in year 7, so he gets traded. Like, I don't know. I think it's a different vibe.
Oscar brings up a good point. I think the JD firing was bullshit. I mean, Gordon going is one thing, but I thought JD going with him. I thought he was a good fit for being team president. New York is in every sport. New York is a win now mentality. That's just the way New Yorkers are. There's no patience.
I know.
You grow up in this. That's the way we are. It's known around the country. Every sport in New York is like that. Look at the Jets signing 38-year-old quarterbacks because they think they're going to win now. Everybody.
But Coach, that's why New York doesn't win a lot of championships. They don't.
The Yankees won. The Giants won quite a few. It's there.
The Yankees won.
The Islanders won
when they rebuilt. When they rebuilt in the mid-90s after a decade and a half of stinking, and they brought in Bernie Williams, Jeter, Rivera, all those guys are homegrown guys. They didn't go out and buy those guys.
All right, so what city wins so many championships that does it right?
Boston.
They don't win that many. They're competitive, but they don't win that many.
Boston, the Red Sox, the Patriots, the Celtics.
Yeah, but the Red Sox didn't win for 100 years. Then they got good.
They won like 5 times in the last 15 or so. They win a lot, the Red Sox.
Okay, well, they're not on a run right now.
It's not like a city, Coach. That I get your point. Like, there's not one city that other than Boston that like wins in every sport. But the point is that a franchise with more patience. Like I think Oscar's point is in firing JD and Gorton and bringing in Drury. The not that Drury's a bad GM or anything, but the message was sent that the rebuild is over with this. We're not doing it this way anymore. We're going to go and get tougher to play against, and that's what we're going to do and try to win now. Whereas I think if Gorton and JD weren't fired, that they would have kept building it the way they wanted. It would have been it would have been an interesting alternate universe to see what happened, just to see. Yeah. I mean, let's not forget, JD brought in Panarin. JD's the one who brought in Trouba. So it's not like he wasn't buying guys too. He was also trying to win now a little bit. He brought in those 2 players. Pretty sure JD was involved in both of those.
I think you have to bring in a mix. I mean, not 10 guys, but you need to have like Chicago's doing. They're trying to bring in a certain few guys to bring those younger guys in. And as you get more competitive, those older superstars, those older stars you're bringing in mean more as those guys are developing. I mean, if you would have got rid of Kreider, not brought in Panarin and Trouba, what would we have had? We would have had all 21-year-old guys.
Yeah, you don't want to be that either.
In the cellar of the league.
Yeah.
So it's
you don't want to be that either. I agree. There's a mix.
Situation of finding the right mix. and finding the right players. There's a lot of components that go into it. Colorado's not winning every year, and they got McKinnon, McCarr. They're not winning every year. It's a tough league, and it's just a matter of timing and having the right frame of mind for the players and coaching staff.
I just think it's a different mindset from New Jersey. But I tweeted this the other day, Coach, and even the Islanders, it's a different mindset. I'm looking for the tweet. So I said, this is the tweet. Rangers 27, 24, and 4. This is the fans. Team sucks. Trade everyone. I'm done watching the team. Islanders 25, 23, and 7. Similar record. Their fans are like, sign Brock Nelson. Make a run for it. I love this team. Great vibes. Like, it's the Rangers' vibes as a fan are just so bad because we are feeling like the rebuild failed. Everyone's old. They're just trying to buy a championship again. It doesn't work. They're not going to. It's a different vibe, I don't know. That's my opinion, I guess. Or it's just impatient fans. Like, it's like Yankee fans and Met fans. The Mets make a run and we're all like, yeah, Mets, OMG, right? Like the Yankees lose a game and it's like, trade that reliever immediately, Yeah. It's the way it is. PJ, chime in.
No, yeah, I was just gonna like kind of build off that because you're making me think of stuff. But yeah, I think it's just a one cup in 84 years. But I mean, what happens last year, right? If Fox's knee is healthy, what if they win the cup? Then what? How are we talking about the rebuild? Then how are we talking about Drury? I mean, a lot of luck, like Coach kind of said, goes into it. I mean, if things go right, it felt like destiny last year. And then what? We would be.
Or what if they get JT Miller 2 years ago and had him against Florida last episode.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of stuff that could go on and a lot of things. Every team that wins the cup has a situation that changed and they move forward, and it happens to be the missing link. So,
but I was going to push back on the Devils, like kind of Chris said in the chat too. They were very injured and they had like no goaltending. I think this year there wouldn't be this emotional roller coaster if the Rangers were decimated with injuries. If you would have told me they went on that 4-15 stretch, I would have said, oh my gosh, like Igor got hurt for a month, Panair, and all these guys got hurt, but they didn't. And that's why I think, like Cousin was saying, is this is pretty much the same team they started with that was a President's Trophy, and just that's why it's so frustrating because we expect better. There's no excuse for where they are. None.
Yeah. It's been a tough year as a fan, in my opinion. I think we just got to hang in there and root for the team. We can't get too down. I got to be better at it. But, after that Pittsburgh game, PJ will attest to this. I exited the Rangers Ed chat and just texted him privately. I was ready to just burn this team to the ground. I was like, trade every single player. How do you lose this game? And then they come back and win that Columbus game, and you're like, oh, everyone else lost. Like, oh, okay. I can't – the ups and downs day to day, period to period.
You can't get down on them because they lose to Pittsburgh. Every team is losing like that this year.
It's crazy,
but it was because they had no Crosby or Malkin, and the Rangers haven't won 3 in a row since November.
They shouldn't lose it, but
you got to go on a 7-8 game win streak if you want to make the playoffs, right? I mean, it's got to happen.
And the other side of that, Coach, like the Pittsburgh game, if the Rangers would have if they played like they did in the third period where they just didn't go up a shot and were owning Pittsburgh, just couldn't score, Pittsburgh was blocking shots the whole game, fine. The first 2 periods, the Rangers got so badly outplayed, and it was just beyond frustrating, inexcusable. Like, it almost looked like they were back.
I mean, I didn't see it like that, so I must have been watching a different game.
Coach just has rose-colored glasses sometimes.
I wish I had your patience, Coach, but
yeah, you have so much patience. It's like
I don't really, because my EA the PA will tell you that I should have more patience as I get older. But
well, you have patience with the Rangers. Maybe you don't have patience with her, but you certainly have patience with the Rangers.
No, not with her. With traffic, with things in general.
Yeah. PJ, hang out with us a minute. We're going to jump into Coach's Corner. So throw the commercial on and hang out with us for Coach's Corner.
Got it.
Let's get to
Hey, everybody. Coach Ed here. I'm over here in the shop at Bella Italia, Marble, Granite, and Quartz, picking up my order for a nice little bathroom I'm doing. I've been a contractor almost as long as I'm a hockey coach. So listen to me when I tell you, when you want the quality work and craftsmanship, come and see the boys over at Bella. They serve all 5 boroughs, Westchester, Long Island, all the way out to Montauk. Whether you're a Ranger fan, Islander fan, Devils fan, they're going to take care of you no matter what. Make sure you give them a call, 516-561-1018. Let's go Rangers.
All right, boys, bring it in.
All right, let's put Coach on the big screen. Let's do Coach's Corner, D-zone coverage here. Let's look at a couple of these goals, or one of them, Coach. Lead the way.
Well, PJ sent me 3 clips. Good job on doing your homework, PJ.
Thank you.
I mean, I hate to say it, but the common denominator, the defensive zone coverage, and it's something I've been pushing my plays for 2 years that this is what it's about. And I was trying to say with Mike and Mikey P, it's all about the back checking, and it's not a matter of the back checking catching the guy. It's a matter of back pressure. They talk about it on NHL Network in the tape room all the time. Part of the Devils' losing streak recently was a big cause of it was that just laziness. Valaket and Boyle called straight legs coming back. All these things. It's one of the little things in a game. Laziness going to a line change drives me crazy. These little things in a game make it so much harder for team defense. So if you watch those 3 clips, let me see if I could draw it as usual.
And I should set up, just so the fans know, the 3 clips I sent were the Raquel goal against Pittsburgh, the second goal in the Columbus game, and the 3rd goal. All rush goals were a bad back checking.
All 3 common denominator was Alexis Lafreniere's direct fault, in my opinion. Okay, because on the 1 goal, Lafreniere was back here. I believe this was I don't know which one it was, to be honest with you. He starts skating hard, and then he glides. In the meantime, his man was skating hard.
I think your marker is dead.
What happened?
I think your marker is dead, Coach.
Oh. Oh, you could see it. It's just not dark enough. I'll change. Okay, so he starts back here in the zone on offense. Columbus wins the puck battle, gets it out. So his man is here. It's a 2-on-2 originally. Let's say the Rangers are here. And this guy on Columbus turns it into a 3-on-2. Lafreniere skates out hard. He coasts kind of in the neutral zone. And this guy's busting it all the way. And then all of a sudden he realizes and skates hard, but he can't catch him. And ultimately this guy puts the puck in the net on the 3-on-2. If he just skates hard the whole way, it takes that passing lane or that option away, and it allows these 2D to step up and challenge a little more. Or one of them to challenge a little more, maybe put the play offside, maybe make a bad pass where it's not a scoring chance. You know, these little things, everybody says, oh, the D's not playing well, the D's not playing well, but that play's got to be made. On the other goal, Lafreniere was on this side. Let me erase it. And again, it doesn't matter which side of the ice, because when you're in the zone, forechecking and cycling, you can end up anywhere. So in the 1970s, left wing stayed, right wing stayed, yada, yada. But now you're all over. Same thing.
Like bubble hockey.
He's back checking, and he's just coasting the whole way. And ultimately, his man puts in a pass. He doesn't make the goal, but his man gets a pass, goes to here and taps it in. And then he realizes he starts skating hard when he hits the blue line, but through the whole neutral zone, straight leg through the neutral zone. You know, it's got to be all the way. If you watch the Panthers in the playoffs last year, we did live. Watching them live is just insane. They are skating up and down the ice the whole time. There's nobody watching. You watch the 3rd goal you sent, PJ. 3 guys, including Trocheck, unfortunately, just standing up. Lafreniere won. Trocheck, and I forget who the other guy was. They're all just standing up watching, and then all of a sudden Laffy tries to reach with his stick at the last second. No good. You got to be there on him. You can't
Yep.
realize that all of a sudden it's too late. The game in this league is too fast now. You take that 2 seconds off in the neutral zone, and it's over that quick. And that's what's going to – I don't understand how, like Valaket said, who disagreed with the Valaket assessment in that clip?
That was just the guy tweeting it.
Well,
But
I don't know how he disagreed with it, because the night before Laffy made the mistake, and I can't believe he's continuing to do it, because he was on the way to being a really good defensive player. I was praising how he wasn't scoring goals. He was learning the game. And I don't know, like I said before, if it's Panarin playing with him that's rubbing off on him, but somebody's going to have to get in his face, and he's got to wake up, because we need him to make those plays. Those games are different if he's making those plays, and he's better than that. He's a better.
what would you say? Like, because I think
tired to make that back check, then he's got to make the offensive zone change. So you can't blame it on that either. He's been playing hockey long enough to know what's going on.
Well, my thing was to bring it into last week, and why I sent those clips is, in addition to that, that's true. Even Micheletti was ripping him during those games. The other side of it is the defense guys. It just feels like they're puck watching all the time. Like, if you watch Lindgren on that third goal against Columbus, he just watches Van Riemsdyk skate right by him, and then he just all of a sudden, I got to go to the net, and Van Riemsdyk was wide open. And then on the Raquel goal, Miller and Borgen were on the same side. They were just puck watching the guy at the top, and Raquel was wide open down the slot. And again, Lafreniere should have been on him, but it just feels like that's a common denominator too.
Well, it's without a doubt, but it comes down to the fact that, the pressure's on you, you're nervous, so now the human nature part of it kicks in, and you turn and you watch the puck and you decide what you're going to do then. Two guys on the defense that I watch all the time that are really good at it, and actually in the Boston game, Miller was doing really well, was playing the guy without the puck. I thought he did a great job with Vakanainen, and Mike was on Vakanainen, and Borgen play really well without the puck. And you guys know I love Schneider. He had a rough spot this season, but he plays really well without the puck.
I think part of it, and I mean, you tell me your thoughts, but I think part of the defensive puck watching, just remembering when I played D, it was about communication. I mean, the puck's moving so fast, and you have a lot of pressure on you as a defenseman. You have physical pressure from the players for checking, but also pressure to make the right play when you get the puck, and pressure to block shots. There's so much pressure as a defenseman that you have to communicate, and you have to have your forwards communicating. And I feel like there must be some kind of poor communication going on some of these plays. There's no way two defensemen should be on the same side of the ice puck watching. That should never happen.
No.
That means they're not talking to each other. It's the only thing I could think of. How could that possibly happen?
I agree with you what you're saying as far as communication, but if you're seeing your partner in front of you and he's got the man with the puck, now you have to turn around and get the next man. And the first back checker gets the next man, and they're not.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree with you, this communication, but the eyesight is failing also. I have to see that my partner's there. Now I got to turn around. If you see Miller's getting beat and you want to challenge, that's one thing. But if he's got him boxed and he's got him in a pretty good position, now you got to turn around for the next guy.
Yeah.
And Lafreniere on one of the plays picked up the totally wrong guy. And then all of a sudden he jumped. It's got to be – these are things that you learn in bantam midget level hockey, and how they don't learn this moving forward. And after being in the league 4 years now, Laffy, I mean, it can happen. It happens in a game, but 3 games in a row, that's inexcusable.
Tell the listeners, right? So if you got a 3-on-2 coming in, you're playing defense. You, as a defenseman, you can see the forwards back checking, right? You know who's coming back. So just 2 things. One, as the forward, how do you identify which guy to get? And then 2, as a defenseman, what are you looking for to make a decision on who, what positioning you take? Do you step up? Do you go, wide? Do you stay in the middle? Because I think that these are things that the casual person who hasn't maybe played the game isn't going to be able to really identify while watching the Rangers. Be like, oh, that was Laffy's fault. He wasn't hustling. Sure, we could see that. But how should Laffy know which guy to get? Is it just the guy who's not covered? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, there's going to be the strong side. Let's say the strong side on a 3-on-2. Let's say the puck is coming down this way. Here's the puck. We got a 3-on-2. These are the two ranges. Generally, a 3-on-2 is played where one guy's going to go hard to the net, and the last forward is going to fill in the high slot. This guy going hard to the net, this defenseman has to go with him. So that leaves you one defenseman on the puck. So now the first back checker has to pick up the high slot in that open man. That's general. If this guy is not back checking, now what do these guys have to do? They have to figure out. You have two 2-on-1s.
Yep.
If he gives this guy the puck, you got to challenge him. One of them has to challenge him. You can't let him come right down the slot. Now that's leaving this guy wide open. So by no back check is making these two guys make decisions and leave one guy open. And it makes it more difficult. The goalie has to read that play. So that forward back checking has to read the play like the goalie's reading the play from the other side. And the goalie is watching all this. The goalie's watching the back checkers. As the play's coming down, you hear Lundqvist talking about it. Valaket talking about it. They're watching the play start down here. And they're starting to read what's going on. So if they're looking and they see no Ranger forward back checking, now he's got to start thinking what's going on. If he sees a back checker 2 strides behind, he can make the play and challenge this guy a little more in the butterfly. So there's all situations of the D reading those back checkers, the goalie reading the whole play, that all develops coming down.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no set play on how to play that 3-on-2.
You see the Rangers a lot when they get 3-on-2s, like if Panarin has the puck, mostly, he'll take the puck wide, and sometimes he'll just cut himself to the middle, and the two other guys will just go to the net, and then the defensemen are kind of in like disarray, and it gives Panarin a clear shooting lane in the center of the ice, So there's all types of scenarios that D are struggling with in those situations, and if they see 3 forwards gliding back in the neutral zone, you're kind of left out to dry. I know, PJ, you brought up the Lindgren play on the Van Riemsdyk goal. I said the same thing. That was terrible D, but in fairness, that was one of those situations where I feel like, in fairness to Lindgren, that he's kind of in no man's land, and he's going to hesitate. When that happens as a defenseman, you hesitate because you're afraid to make a decision because you don't know what's going to happen. You're left out to dry, right? Keandre, it's the same thing with like keeping the puck in at the point. When a defenseman hesitates in that spot, to me, that's when they make mistakes, right? Either you pinch and you take body or you back up. That's it. You can't hesitate, not get body, not get puck. Now you're left with a 3-on-2 or a 2-on-1, right? Same idea. But yeah, Coach, what do you do as the coach here with Laffy? I mean, Chris called this like months ago. We were saying, he's a winger or whatever with Laffy, but this is really bad stuff. I mean, this is I didn't notice this bad when Chris brought it up. But, what do you do?
There's a couple of things you have to do, and by not benching Panarin is a bad example also, because in Laffy's mind, like you said a couple of weeks ago, if I bench Laffy's sitting there going, why am I getting benched? Panarin's doing the same thing. So now that's his attitude. And it's the same thing. It's boys being boys. I deal with that kind of stuff all the time. I'm sitting guys for a certain reason, and like, why aren't you playing me if this guy's doing it? It's a hard situation. I mean, I'm sure they're going over this in meetings constantly. I don't know what the answer is on the NHL level. It's a lot easier to do it on my level. You could just not play the guy for 4 shifts, and
you just can't like
millions of dollars. It's tough.
You just can't blame Panarin for, not that you are, but you just can't blame Panarin for these plays by Laffy. I feel like a lot of fans are saying, get Laffy away from Panarin. God, like he's developing bad habits. And like, yes, I agree. We talked about this. There is probably some truth to that. I'd like to see Laffy with Miller and Cooley eventually. I think that would be a good line, get Laffy playing the right way. I think there is some truth to it, but I'm not going to sit here and blame Panarin for Laffy.
No.
making
back to your
cross-ice
point-
passes, turning the puck over, hanging. I mean, he shouldn't
no,
be
but
just
getting
copying
back-
Panarin. You know,
I would me personally, I would sit Panarin down, which I've done with my players, and say, look, you got to stop doing this. You're a leader on the team. You're a role model to the younger guys, and you got to start playing hockey the right way most of the time. And then you got to sit laughing down and go, look, you're not Panarin. You're not putting up 100 points yet.
yeah, or like, dude,
You know what I mean?
Panarin's in his own
I go
world.
back.
Like,
I go
why are
back to
you
the
trying
Bill Bar-
copy
I go back to the
Panarin?
Bill Parcells analogy with Lawrence Taylor. When players would complain that he was late, coming hungover, coming to meetings in a robe, all this stuff, and they were complaining, and Parcells said to Belichick, when they start sacking the quarterback like Taylor, they can come to the meeting in a robe. You know, that's a harsh reality. You know, when you're that level of a player, you don't get the liberties that player has.
Yeah,
You have to earn it. And Laffy's not getting the 100 points. If Laffy's
gotta
scoring
do it.
100 points, then like you said, we'll take his defensive liability. He's putting in 3, letting up 2. But when you're not doing that, like we talked about Keandre in the beginning of the year, his offense was lacking, so you can't even say he's making up for it. Then you got to sit the kid down and say, look, let's watch some video. I would go over it with him one-on-one, which I would feel the Rangers coaches are doing, and isolate. It's something I'm
Do you
going to
think
do.
they show them video of like them in the World Junior Championships or like in their draft year and be like, where is this guy? You know, the way you're playing north-south here in these videos. Like, why are you now watch this video of you last game? Like, I wonder because like that is not even Laffy's game. He's more of a hard-nosed, edgy leader material, like JT Miller type guy. That's what he should be.
Well, look how long it took JT to develop like that. He
Yeah.
wasn't like, it took him a while.
But we
true.
did see Laffy.
I'm
did
not
that in the
giving up
playoffs.
on him. He's got to learn. But like you said, what is
TJ's
it gonna
right. In the
take for
playoffs, he
Rangers
did
to-
do it.
What's it going to take for the Rangers to be more consistent? It's going to take guys like Laffy. You see Cooley busting his ass back every shift.
I love that guy.
You never see that guy not back checking.
Theo
You
loves
see him
Cooley
live,
too. She's
You
obsessed
see
with
that live? He's flying all game, every shift.
Coach, are you concerned? And PJ, are you guys concerned that this Laffy play is, I guess his play has deteriorated significantly, pretty much lines up with his extension when he signed it? Does that concern you guys at
Yeah.
all?
It has to, right? I mean, he had that unbelievable playoffs. I mean, other than Trocheck, hands down, he was our best forward. He was fantastic every game, and he got better as the playoffs went. I thought his best series was against Florida. And then he started out this year great too. I mean, he was every game he was noticeable, making plays. And then you're right, it kind of felt right after that extension, it was just like, where did he go?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
just-
it's a human nature thing. You have to remember that, and I don't know. He must have. I think his father has to sit him down and say, "What the hell you doing?" It might come down to something as simple as that, Going
Yeah.
home. Is he playing on the Canadian team? I don't even know.
No.
Okay, so
Did you see that roster?
I haven't really paid that close attention.
For a
Where the
while,
hell
though,
is he gonna play?
I remember at the beginning of the season, he was doing so well off that playoffs. They were talking about him being on that team. That's how far.
Coach, their first power play is McDavid, McKinnon, Crosby, Reinhart, and McCarr.
So he's going to have 2 weeks off. Hopefully he goes home and his mother hits him with the wooden spoon a few times and says, start back checking.
Yeah, we got Oscar in the chat being super negative. You sound like me, Oscar. Jeez, man. He goes, won't be surprised if Hedl turns into a point per game player. When Hedl was a Ranger, I guarantee you Oscar was saying, this guy he's never going to play a full season. Now he gets traded, and he's like, won't be surprised if he's a point per game player.
Come on, calm down with Hedl. That's far from the Hedl was.
Yeah,
come on.
We love Hedl, but he wasn't. You can't. It's the injury stuff with him, honestly.
I
And
love
he was never
Hedl
going to
as a
get
person.
the top line minutes.
I'm with Oscar though. I'm super negative about this stuff. I guarantee you, Kako and Hedl turn into good players. That's just the Rangers' luck, and we'll get them back at the 2030 deadline when we need some depth.
Well, anyway, getting back to Laffy, I think it's going to take just like a good home cooked meal and the father sitting down with him. Because if it was my son, I'd be watching it and I'd be saying, "What are you doing?" Obviously, the father's got to know hockey. It's obvious. If it's obvious to us watching the game, when Eddie played, if I'm watching the game and he was dogging it, he didn't hear about it right after the game, but he heard about it a day or two later.
I heard about it right after the game.
Well,
on the way home.
I was never a fan of that.
Same.
I was never a fan of that. I let the emotions settle down. And before the next practice, I would talk to him and let him know.
Well, how nice
really
of you. I would hear it in the car as soon as I got into
I don't feel the barrage technique is the way to go. I guess
as soon as I got into the car.
I'm a little
My dad would look at me. If my dad would look at me, he'd do that stupid thing with his chin that he'd do where like this. He'd just look at me and shake his head, and I'd be like, I don't know, I played crappy. Like, what do you want me to do? You know, like I didn't play well. That's it. Anyway, all right. Milestone moment. Speaking of guys playing crappy, Chris Kreider having his down season here, but still another milestone for him. Actually, 2 milestones. His shorthanded goal, the game winner, moves him to 4th all time in shorthanded goals for the Rangers, and he's only been penalty killing for, I think this is his 4th year penalty killing, and he's 4th all time in shorthanded goals. Pretty amazing.
Wait, bring up the broadcast banter again.
And 2nd all time for the Rangers.
Power play goal.
You wait a second. 2nd all time in game-winning goals with 50. Rod Gilbert is first with 52. So Kreider could, if he doesn't get traded, can get to first there in power play goals. He's soon. I think he's 1 away in power play goals now and 2 away in game winners. Go ahead, Coach.
Joe goes, and he hasn't even killed penalties. I think David Quinn made that decision. And then like 3 minutes go by in the game, and the producer must have said in his ear, he goes, I stand corrected. It was Gerard Gallant.
Oh, that's right. That's
Gallant
right.
never gets brought up.
And then Sam Rosa goes, what a smart man, Gerard Gallant.
Yeah.
But it's pretty crazy that he just started killing penalties in 21-22. And then he's basically he's leading the league since he became a penalty killer. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, he's been.
You got to remember also, until 4 or 5 years ago, the top players in the league really didn't kill penalties.
True.
You know, they were power play guys and minutes guys, but that was kind of their rest. I mean, it could be a little longer than 4 or 5 years, but generally, you know, you didn't do it. It wasn't done like that because you know.
Now the Devils
so many minutes.
Now the Devils got Jack Hughes killing penalties, scoring shorthanded goals. That would never happen in Coach Ed's world. But
and Kreider had a good quote about that when they asked him, and he's like, playing power play, you know the tendencies, you know where they're going, you can anticipate better, and it's kind of
you have the hockey IQ, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, Chris Kreider, pretty awesome stuff from him. He's been as bad as this year's been, and crazy to think a lot of fans have turned on Chris Kreider, but he's been a hell of a Ranger, and if he doesn't get dealt, he's going to set all these records with the team. So we'll see what happens. All right, let's quickly do our stars of the week here, and then our Four Nations predictions and wrap up because we're pushing 2 hours, boys. Thank you, everyone, for sticking with us. All right, stars of the week. Tee it up.
All right.
Coach Ed, play. Go for it, PJ. What happened?
No, nothing. So we'll go star of the week. I'm going to go Trocheck.
Player of the week, Vinny T.
Yep.
Yeah,
Player of the
I
week,
agree.
Vinny T. I think just every game, the Boston game, he scored a big goal to tie it. The Pittsburgh game, he scores, gets the assist on Fox goal. And then in the game against Columbus, he had the 2 assists on Coley didn't get credit for this first goal in the third. I still don't believe that. And then he had that great forecheck that led to the winner. I mean, he was everywhere.
Yeah. No, I go Trocheck too. I mean, he had 5 points. I think he had points in every game. He, he's just all over the score sheet, and Coach Ed, he's a Coach Ed dream. Hits, blocks, face-offs, goals, assists. I mean, he does it all. I love the guy. He's a great Ranger so far in these years.
I mean, just
Coach.
think about the Rangers. If they have Zibby, Trocheck, Carrick, and JT Miller down the middle, what their face-off percentage can be.
I think it's over 60%.
Zibby's like under 50, right?
Yeah, as a team though, since Miller's came in,
he's right around 50. He does well.
But yeah,
And
Trocheck's
he's not
over
getting
60
thrown
himself.
out for
He's
some reason.
really good.
All right. So last week we brought back the highlight play, so we'll keep that. I
Wait,
want
what
to
about
keep.
my pick of the week?
Oh, you didn't pick Troche? I thought you were riding. All right, go
No,
for
I
it.
didn't write Troche. I want you to get a big glass of whiskey for this one.
Oh, no.
Keandre?
I'm picking Keandre Miller.
Oh my God.
Little Ed's never going to believe this.
I watched him play live, and I watched him in
He's
that
been good.
Columbus game. The guy's playing good hockey right now.
He's been good.
I have to turn when it's right. When it's right, it's
And
right.
he's been better offensively too. I know the points aren't crazy, but he had that nice play to Trocheck in the Boston game.
Unbelievable.
Reading that.
Yeah, I mean, he
So,
could be in the
he's carrying
doghouse
the puck.
next week. Don't get me wrong. He could be back in the doghouse, but
It's been that kind of year. So I won't be surprised, but hopefully not.
That's a good callback to the roller coaster, Coach, we talked about.
Keandre Miller for Coach. He's been good. He has. I'm glad you're giving him the recognition. He
I
has
just
been good.
checked.
That
Pigs
pair
are
was
flying outside.
Noticeably been good.
All right, highlight play of the week. I'm going the Cooley game winner against Columbus. I just think, Troche made that play, obviously, but just the Selly on the goal by Cooley, how pumped he was and getting the 2 points in regulation against a team they're chasing. I jumped out of my seat when he scored it. And, it's funny. In the Pittsburgh game, I really felt like they were going to win in the third and pull it out, and then they didn't. So in the Columbus game, I was kind of hesitant to think they would come back, but Cooley really led the way in that third period, and to cap it off in the final 2 minutes like that, for me, that's the highlight play for me.
That was on a delayed penalty, I believe.
No, the first one.
The first one.
Oh, the first one?
The Vacanine and tip somehow.
He didn't even react. There's no way he tipped that. Usually they
Cooley has so many. He has like 20 goals this year, and like 6 were taken away.
Yeah.
How many?
4
Seriously.
taken away. He really has 4 taken away on offsides. It's
4 on offsides, and then the Vacanine one. So that's 19
yeah,
goals for Cooley. Anyway, Coach, what's your highlight play?
I'm gonna piggyback on that one.
Yeah,
I'm going. I really. It was hard not to pick that one, but that Kreider shorthanded goal was sick.
Yeah, it really was.
And it was a big moment in the game. He was due for a big goal, and somehow he corralled that skate to stick, and what an angle he put that into. And
that was another big goal too.
Actually, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to go with that one.
Yeah, that was insane. That was another big goal at the end of the game.
But PJ, did you notice why that puck went in?
Why did it go in?
By the defenseman chipping that pass. The goalie was overplaying it. By the defenseman slowing that down, then Kreider being able to corral it.
He was down.
The goalie already committed to the shot from Kreider immediately, so it was like a changeup.
Good
so
point.
the defenseman chipping that pass actually hurt the goalie.
Crazy. It's a game of inches.
Yeah. That was a great play by Kreider to keep that puck and get the shot off.
Yeah. Yeah, all right, Coach.
Again, did you see him celebrate after that goal? They were a lot more engaged in the game in the last 5
Yeah,
games.
I saw them hugging in the air. I saw the picture.
That felt like last year for a moment there.
I mean, it means a lot. There's a lot of body language that's involved. There's a lot of stuff that goes on.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh was a shit show. Don't get me wrong, but there's a positive thing going forward right now. Let's see what happens this week, in 2 weeks.
All right. Coach Ed's Doghouse. Copyright Doghouse brought to you by Suiter's Sweet Treats. Check out Suiter's Sweet Treats. Get your 10% off on your cookie order if you're having a party. Like I'm just had a gender reveal and you're having baby shower. There's like 6 parties when you have a kid. When you get married, there's like 6 parties. So whatever you got going on in your life, there's a party for it. Order Suiter's Sweet Treats. They're awesome. 10% off, code EDPOD, and a free Doghouse cookie. Little Ed's not here to show the cookie, but, it is what it is. So, Coach, who you got in your Doghouse?
You're not going to play the bark?
Coach Little Ed, oh, yeah, there it is. Is it this one?
No.
Nope. No, sorry. My bad. Sorry.
It's the famous picture that Eddie.
That's true. Little Ed didn't have
You're
it
not-
up for me. I was scrambling there.
You did not have the bark. You're not gonna play the barky codes. Oh, jeez, I love it. Who you got?
I'm
Coach?
going with. I think Coach's Corner laid it all out on the line. I'm going with Laffy.
Yeah,
Same.
Yeah.
I have
I'm-
to too.
I'm riding.
It stinks. But
I had
gotta be
Fox
better.
last week. I had Fox and Lingering in, and I'm gonna leave them in too. I think, and add Laffy. Coach, you had Igor in last week. Is he out?
Yeah, I say Igor's out. He had the good game against Boston, right?
Goodish. Yeah,
Yeah.
good
Got
enough.
the win against
Okay
Boston.
versus Pittsburgh, but
PJ, you
I'm
had
not
Igor
blaming-
in.
Yeah.
He's out for
I-
you too.
yeah, I really think this 2 week stretch, I'm hoping it gets him right. It did before last year and even earlier this year when he was a week. So I'll take him out. And I have
All right.
Laffy.
Yeah, Laffy as well. I think it's obvious. Those goals were huge. All right, let's turn to the Four Nations, our upcoming schedule, brought to you by Sorrento's of Long Beach. If you're watching the Four Nations tournament, make sure when you're rooting for Team USA, Team Canada, whatever, Sweden, Finland, you get your order in with Sorrento's. It all starts Wednesday, right? Canada and Sweden at 8 o'clock. USA opens against Finland on Thursday at 8 o'clock. So should be fun. All right, we got Mikey 150's prediction earlier. He's got Canada over Finland in the final. Mrs. 150's got USA over Sweden in the final. Coach, who you got winning over who in the final here?
First, tell me USA's power play unit. First power play.
I didn't see it. I'm
They
sure it's
didn't actually
posted.
put it out today, but it's got to
Give
be.
me what you think it would be.
Probably Austin Matthews, Jack Eichel, Matthew Kachuk, Jack Hughes, and either
I'm
Werenski
gonna
or
go.
Fox.
I'm gonna go USA versus Canada. I'm gonna say USA wins it.
Coach has got USA over Canada. He doesn't know the rules. He doesn't know the lineups, but he's probably right. Okay, USA over Canada. So I'm gonna leave PJ last here. I'm gonna go next. I agree. USA for me is the best goalie. They have equivalent D to anybody. I think Canada's got better forwards, but I just don't know Canada's goaltending, man. I just don't see how. I don't know.
Who
I
is
don't
their
know.
goalie?
They got Aiden Hill, Montembeau, and Jordan Binnington.
Correct. And here's another callback, like they say in the biz. The rumor has it, the reason Logan Thompson is not on that team as he should be is because the GM and coach are both from Vegas, and apparently they have a weird relationship with him and didn't like him.
That's crazy. Well, he's 24, 2-5. How does he now make the team? He's so good. He's the best goalie in the playoffs this year. I don't know. It's hard for me to. I feel like Sweden always makes the final. I'm going to agree with Mrs. 150. I think USA over Sweden in the final. I think Canada doesn't get to the final. I got USA over Sweden.
Wow,
Finland's too banged up.
That was so funny you said that because I like to manifest the U.S. Canada because that's what the TV wants. That's what everyone wants. But Canada seems to always choke in these events. World Juniors, they just did it. So yeah, you pulled it right out from under me. I was going U.S. over Sweden too. Sweden is they're great. They just find ways to stick in games and.
They got Linus Ullmark and Gustafson and net. That's pretty good. They got Hedman and Dahlin and I know they got Eric Carlson, but that's why US is going to win because Carlson's going to turn it over and US, But I mean, the team is loaded. I know people are Zibanejad on the first line. Okay, guys, like they got Nylander, Jesper Bratt, Forsberg, Elias Pettersson, Kempe, Eriksson, Lucas Raymond. It's a good team.
I'll tell you what, Mika's was starting his game together, and I'm hoping, this will even give him more confidence playing with those kind of players and maybe lighten it up. So for one player, I'm really hoping that helps.
Imagine Mika
tournament's
dominates this tournament, Sweden wins, and then he comes back and just sucks again with the Rangers.
That would be the Rangers' luck.
Yeah, it will.
But I
All
wanted
right,
to swing back around real quick and do the other prediction because what Rangers player in this tournament will have the most points? And
so
to
not how
recap,
many points, but just the most points.
total points for the tournament. So for US, you got JT Miller, Trocheck, Chris Kreider, Adam Fox. Sweden, you got Mika and Vakanainen on Finland. Little Ed told me JT Miller. I'll go what you guys are thinking. I thought Mika at first, but then I thought about Fox on that number one power play with all those big guys and just even 5-on-5. I think he's gonna get the most points.
If Fox is on, they might put Werenski on that power play, honestly. So I don't know. I'm gonna go Zibanejad. I think he's gonna. I'm rooting for Mika Zibanejad. As difficult as the year has been, and I picked him early in the year to rebound and score 40 goals this year. That is out the door. But I really root for this guy. I want him to be someone that Rangers fans admire and revere in the future and not think of as the way we do right now. I want him to figure it out. In sports all the time, you have redemption stories. So I'm going to continue to root for Mika Zibanejad until it's no longer possible.
When he's going, the Rangers are a different team. They really
I'm
are.
picking Mika. Mika most points.
All right, so Eddie picked JT Miller.
Little Ed did.
Well,
So
just
I'm
so
not
you know,
allowed to
Coach.
pick him also.
No, you
You
can. JT is the third line center. Kreider's the 13th forward. Trocheck's the fourth line center. Fox is the first line first D pair, and I don't know if he's on the power play. I didn't see. So that's the setup there. Mika's playing a center in the top 2 or 3 lines for Sweden. I guess they can alternate. Who knows? And Vakanainen is Vakanainen. So
What if he gets the most points?
imagine.
I'll go with JT Miller also.
And also to recap last week, we were all 2-1. So I'm keeping track. Everyone's going to get either a win or a loss. We all could get losses theoretically if we're all wrong.
So we're getting a win or a loss for the points, not for the pick of the tournament.
We could do that too. I'll add that in. So we'll keep track of
So the
records.
winner. So if you get the winner right, you get a point, a win. If you get the winner wrong, you get a loss. And then
Correct.
also second place team too, if you get that right. So let's say Sweden beats the U.S., you're 0-2.
Yes.
Okay, let's do that. And then last thing, Coach, the line for JT Miller is Matt Boldy, JT Miller, and Brady Tkachuk. That's going to be a good line. This is going to be fun to watch.
I wouldn't want to play against
You
them.
imagine both Kachucks though with him too. Holy crap! What a pain in the ass line.
Yeah, man, should be interesting. All right, boys, good episode, a long one, but worth it. If you're listening, enjoy the Four Nations, enjoy the 2 weeks off. I do think we're coming back next week with something. I forgot, so Little Ed will have to just update you on social media, but we're definitely going to come back next week with a shorter episode. And we'll see what happens if there's any transactions. I mean, trades can still happen during the Four Nations. I read online today, Elliot Friedman tweeted out that some players have been told not to come back because they're getting traded. So who knows what's going to happen? It should be wild. But, fun episode and enjoy some international games with NHL talent. It's kind of a corny tournament to do it in the middle of the year like this, but it's a good prelude to maybe a World Cup or an Olympics coming soon. So let's see how it goes.
Good job, boys. Thanks to the fans for hanging out for 2 hours.
Last thing, do you guys think it? I know there's a lot of reasons politically and all this for Russia not to be in the tournament, but don't you feel like a lot of talent is missing because Russia's not there? It kind of sucks. Like, imagine
It really is a shame. Didn't they do a few years ago for other events? They just didn't do them under Russia. They did some random name or
they could have done that.
The Olympics,
right.
They could.
It's
I
a
don't know.
shame.
There's reasons for it, and it's outside of our decision making and whatever. So I'm not commenting on that, but it's just a lot of talent in the league that's not. I mean, Alex Ovechkin is not in this tournament, right? Like
Kucherov, Panarin.
Kaprizov,
Malkin, yeah, and their Russian
Shesterkin,
goalies.
Vasilevsky. Yeah.
How do you even pick the 3 Russian goalies? Igor, Vasilevsky, Bobrovsky, Sorokin. I mean, I don't even know who
Well,
starts.
Igor's hurt.
My Igor's hurt. He'd miss it.
All right. I think he'd play on. Well, I think he'd play. I think this is an injury just because they had.
Oh, don't forget Bushnevich. He would be on the team too.
Oh yeah, that would put him over the edge.
All right, boys. On that note, go USA.
Yes.
Go USA.
Enjoy the stress-free week.
Yeah. All
Have a
right.
good night,
Enjoy.
boys. Love you guys.
Good night.
All right.